Shalom, my name is Yair Davidiy. I'm speaking to you from the land of Israel, from Brit-Am, a city on what is called the West Bank. It is in the region of Bethlehem in biblical terms. It is in the territory of Judah, and I am speaking to you concerning the Assyrian tribes because I represent an organization, Brit-Am Hebrew Nations, that researches the whereabouts of the Assyrian tribes. And we research where the Assyrian tribes are, and we have shown them to be mainly in Western nations, amongst Western nations, and we reveal this knowledge to the public, and we also work towards a reconciliation between Judah, that is the Jewish people, and Joseph, the 10 tribes of Israel. And we research this, and we publish books and articles and discussions on the subject. And we work at it both from the point of view of biblical and rabbinical sources, as well as historical sources from secular fields of study, such as archaeology, linguistics, history, and mythology. And we, through a combination of different sources, we are enabled to some degree not only to locate where the Assyrian tribes are, but to find specific tribes and even tribal clans in different areas. So amongst the questions that came up recently was a legend in William Camden in the 1600s who related that the Kalkol of Judah had migrated to Ireland. The descendants of Kalkol from Zerah of Judah would be found in Ireland, and we discussed this and we looked at it. We couldn't come to a definite conclusion on the matter, but there were grounds to show that not only were people from Muslim tribes in Ireland, but also there were elements from Judah also there. To refresh your memories, originally we had 12 tribes of Israel all together in one area. 12 tribes of Israel under King Saul, David and Solomon, all together in the land of Israel in one united kingdom. This kingdom split apart, it was divided in asunder. The northern section under Yair from the tribe of Ephraim let themselves go. They set up their own kingdom in the north. This kingdom, after 200 or so years, was conquered by the Assyrians and all of its inhabitants taken into exile and lost consciousness of their ancestry. We found from the Bible and also from Assyrian inscriptions and legends that not only were all the 10 tribes taken into exile, but also a good portion from the kingdom of Judah also taken along with them and went with them, and must therefore be found alongside their descendants now. And we have found this to be so in our researches. So it could well be that amongst those from the lost 10 tribes who did settle in Ireland, as we have shown as members of the lost 10 tribes settled in other areas of the British Isles, in Scotland and Wales and England, that alongside members of the lost 10 tribes were also segments of Judah who settled with them. And so this could have included those who were descended from Zerah, because Judah was divided primarily into two different sections, Zerah and Peretz. There was also Shelah, but the major two sections were Zerah and Peretz. Peretz apparently gave rise to most of the present-day Jews, or those who descend from Judah amongst the Jews, because amongst the Jews we also find descendants of Benjamin and from other tribes and from Levi. At all events, the descendants of Zerah appear to have disappeared, and so they could well have gone to Ireland, or they could well be found amongst the lost 10 tribes, and that is what the conclusion that we came to. Now we have another point. We have descendants of someone called Yair, and we seem to think that Yair also went to Ireland and Scotland. Not only do we think this, but other people think it, and it's been mentioned in several different sources over the years. So we brought these different sources together, and we get a very interesting composite picture, and which has been confirmed by the latest archaeological findings and by the discussions of scholars, not necessarily being aware of what they were saying at the time, or not written. They were aware of what they were saying, but they were not aware of all of the implications that what they were saying had. So this too is of interest, because it tells us, it enables us to get closer to identifying specific peoples in amongst the lost tribes with specific Israelite groups, and also it provides an additional evidence, additional proof that the lost ten tribes are in that area, are in those regions. And so we have in the Bible, we have a mention of someone called Yair, son of Manasseh. Yair, incidentally, is usually written in English translations like Jair, Jair. It should be pronounced Yair, or at least that is how it's pronounced in modern Hebrew. And that is also my name, and that is how I'm used to pronouncing it, so that is the pronunciation we shall use, Yair. And it's a nice name, people like it, and I like it. And I'm a nice person, as you can well see. And anyway, we have Yair, son of Manasseh, who was to be located in Gilead. Gilead was east of the Jordan. The promised land of Israel stretched from the Nile to the Euphrates River. In Numbers 32, beginning from verse 39, it says, the descendants of Machir, son of Manasseh, went to Gilead, captured and dispossessed the Amorites who were there. So Moses gave Gilead to Machir, son of Manasseh, and he settled there. Jair, son of Manasseh, went and captured their villages and renamed them Habat Yair, that is the homesteads or the villages of Yair, the townships of Yair, something in that region, and it continues. So we also, elsewhere in Deuteronomy 3, it says Yair the Manassehite acquired the whole region of Argob as far as the border of the Geshurites and the Maccathites, and named them after himself Bashan, Habat Yair, as it is this day. So this seems to be the same, but whereas previously it said that Yair received his territory in Gilead, here it says Bashan. Now both Bashan and Gilead were east of the Jordan, and maybe to some degree the two were they bordered each other, they interflowed with each other. Maybe it was difficult to distinguish between them, but roughly speaking, Bashan seems to have been more of the southern section, and Gilead had to have been to the north of it. And it could be that two different elements are being spoken of, or they could be the same, referring to different aspects of the same person and the same actions or results of his work. We also find in Joshua chapter 13, it says that Moses gave inheritance to the half tribe of Manasseh. It was allotted to the half tribe of the Manassites according to their families, and so on. And there it also mentions the settlements of Yair in verse 30 in Bashan. And then it goes on and says that also settlements in areas in Gilead and the neighboring areas were also given to Machir, son of Manasseh. But here it also mentions, it does link Yair with Bashan. So whatever the case, we have again in Judges 13, we have another person. But only here we are definitely speaking about someone else. Judges 13, verses 3 to 4, 5. 3, 4, and 5, it says, and after him, that is after the judge Abimelech, came Yair the Gileadite, who judged himself for 22 years. He had 30 sons who rode on 30 donkeys, and they had 30 towns which in the land of Gilead are called Habat Yair to this day. Yair died and was buried in Camon. So here it is definitely talking about another person by the same name who also set up a group of settlements roughly in the same area. And again, we have a mention of Yair, another person named Yair, the son of Segub, the son of Hetzon of Judah, also in Gilead, also pertaining to Machir. Let me explain. The Bible in the first book of Chronicles, chapter 22, it speaks of the sons of Judah. It speaks of Judah. The book of Chronicles, a good portion of the book of Chronicles is giving genealogies. This person begat that, and he begat that, and he has whole lineages. Sometimes the lineages are exact, and sometimes they need to be rushed. They are coming to tell us a different story. But this is a very valuable source at all events. So the book of Chronicles tells us about the descendants of Yair. The book of Chronicles tells us about the descendants of Judah. And it tells us that Judah, the son of Judah was Peretz. The son of Peretz was Hetzron. And Hetzron had sons named Yerachmiel and Ram and Chelubeh. See 1 Chronicles chapter 2 verse 9. And then it goes on to tells us that the Ram, the son of Hetzon, gave rise to the King David, the family of King David. It's the genealogy of King David. Then it goes back and it tells us about Halubi. There's Caleb, the son of Hetzon, and gives his genealogy. Then it goes back again. It seems to backtrack, and it goes all the way back to Hetzon, the father of Ram and Halubi, and it speaks of him again. It says that in his old age, in addition to these three sons that we mentioned, Yerachmiel, Ram and Halubi, he also, in his old age, he had another child. He took another young lady, which we'd all like to do, I suppose, and he had children by her. He married a daughter, Machir, son of Manasseh, and from this union emerged Yair, who possessed cities in Gilead. Thus we have a person named Yair, who's through his father, Hetzon, was the descendant of Judah. On the side of his mother, he was related to Machir, and also he had his inheritance in Gilead in the territory of Machir. See, in 1 Chronicles 2, verse 21, 22, and verse 23, it says, afterwards Hetzon went into the daughter Machir, father of Gilead, whom he married when he was 60 years old. 60 years old, he took a young lady, whom he married when he was 60 years old, and she bore him Segub. There's hope for all of us. And Segub became the father of Jair, who had 23 towns in the land of Gilead, not only having children, but also setting up whole villages to be named in his honour. It's not bad, especially who says that life ends at the pension. Anyway, but Gesher and Aram took from Abed Yair, counted in the city 60 towns, all these were sons of Machir, father of Gilead. So, from the above we see there's someone called Yair, descended on the side of his father from Hetzon of Judah, the side of his mother descended from Machir, the son of Manasseh, but he had his whole life, his whole activity was within the region of Gilead, in the land that belonged to Machir, son of Manasseh. And so therefore, how do we get put to explain these different sources? So there's different ways, different explanations. It could be that Yair was even a dynastic name. We know this is known in medieval history. For instance, in southwest Spain, you had one king after another for generation after generation. All took the name of William, William I, William II, William III, William IV, and such phenomena are known. So it could be that anyone who had certain characteristics, he received the name Yair, or it could be divine providence when different people with the same name with similar characteristics to follow one after another. Such things are known of, it's not impossible. And so we have different explanations. At all events, we accept the Bible knew what it's talking about. There was a difference of personality between different people called Yair, but they had traits in common, and they were all in the same area, and they did more or less the same thing. And so this is of interest. Not only is it of interest it's mentioned in the Bible, but it's also mentioned in secular sources. We should notice that the name Yair in the Phoenician Hebrew, which is similar to what the northern Israelites would have spoken, it's a little bit different from biblical Hebrew, a bit different from the Hebrew we speak today. It has its own idiosyncrasies. So Yair could well have been rendered as Yair, Yair, and we have a people known as Iari, I-A-R-I. Iari, descendants of Yair, in the region that the Bible locates Yair as having been in. Benjamin Mazar, who was a foremost archaeologist in Israel, he wrote very valuable, large books on the archaeology of Israel. We use them. His daughter now is also a prominent archaeologist in Israel. Many of the recent findings that were in the news are due to her researches. Well, Benjamin Mazar was a well-known personality here in this region. I have friends who attended his lectures, and he was an authority, and he is also a personality in his own right. So he wrote concerning Yair. He wrote concerning Yair that in the Encyclopedia Biblica, in the Hebrew. He said that Yair was a large family belonging to the tribe of Manasseh. In the account of Israelite conquest east of the Jordan, this family plays an important role. The family of Yair were related by family blood with the family of Hetzron from Judah on one side and with Machir, father of Gilead, on the other. And then he goes on, and he said there's ground to assume that Yair was also a general name for a large group of Israelite clans who had already united at the beginning of Israelite conquest of the northern part of the land of Gilead, and they had spread out of the land of Bashan. A large and broad territory east of the Jordan was called by their name townships of Yair. And he goes on, it is possible the groups of clans known in scripture the name Yair are recorded in Assyrian records. The Assyrians wrote about Yair, the early Assyrians wrote about Yair, the people of Yair, about the Irin. And how they fought and they struggled with these people, and that they found them on the banks of the Euphrates and beyond the banks of the Euphrates in the region of Habor in northern Syria. And all of these people are associated with Yair. We see Benjamin Mazur tells us from the 1200s Assyrian sources several times record the camps of the Yari, the land of Yari, in the mountains of Yari, the region of the Euphrates and Habor rivers. In addition, Assurbanipal II and his successors recall the house of Yair as one of the princedoms in Mesopotamia. The center was the city Magrisi. And so this is a recording of people from Yair having been prominent and active in the region that the Bible says they were. And it also refers to them as Eri. Now we find in Irish sources a reference to a similar person. I'll show you how. It is a work, The History of Ireland from the Earliest Period to the English Invasion, by Reverend Geoffrey Keating, 1517 to 1646. It's a collection and translation of Irish sources. It describes the various peoples who migrated to Ireland, and the last and most important of the peoples, according to these sources, who came to Ireland were the Milesians. The Milesians were descended from Nial. Nial had been associated before coming to Ireland, or before his descendants became from Ireland. Nial had been an associate of Cain the Eloquent from Judah. He was also known as Yair, the son of Nema. So he mentions Nial, the ancestor of the Milesians, he says, having been known friendly with Yair, son of Nema. Yair, son of Nema, in Irish means Yair, son of the sanctified or the separated one. In other words, son of Perish. And this too is something which we associate Yair or Yair of the Bible with. Perish in the Bible fathered a group in Gilead and Manasseh, with whom Yair in the Bible was associated and identified with. Yair in the Bible, as we saw, was linked with both Manasseh and with Judah, and amongst Judah he was also connected to Perish. Perish as a name meaning sanctified. It means the same as Nemha. Nemha does in Irish. In other words, sanctified, separated out. And Yair, son of Nemha, was the one with whom Nial was acquainted. In 1 Chronicles chapter 7, beginning from verse 14 through 15:16, we find the sons of Manasseh, Asriel, whom his Aramean concubine bore. She bore Machir the father of Gilead, and Machir a wife for Hupim and for Shupim. The name of his sister was Macha, and the name of the second was Zelophehad, and Zelophehad had daughters. Macha, the wife of Machir, bore a son, and she named him Perish. Perish, that is the name. She named him Perish. The name of his brother was Shoresh, and his names were Ulam and Rechem, the sons of Ulam Badan. These were the sons of Gilead, son of Machir, son of Manasseh. So we find Perish amongst Gilead, and we have also already seen that Yair was associated with Gilead and was to be later located within the area of Gilead as well as in Bashan. So here too was Perish from the same family as himself, And Peresh has a name meaning sanctified, the same as Nehemiah. In Irish records, the name Yair, the name Yair occurs several times in different forms. Is Yair Banel, or Yair Banel, the prophet, one of the four sons of Nehemiah, in other words, one of the four sons of Peresh. There's Jair, which is also a form of the same name. He's a prophet. He is one of the four sons of Agamaman, and also Clon Magnos. And we also find, according to teaching, that some authorities, not all authorities, but some authorities derive the truth of Danan, the tribe of Danan, from Yair Banel, son of Nimad. And here too, Yair Banel is considered a form of Yair, of Irin. Irin meaning Yair. Yair is a form, is a known name in Irish and Scottish genealogy and place names, as we shall show. And he is also spoken of in the mythology of Ireland, and we may assume this is the same as Yair or Yair in the biblical and Assyrian records. Now, a point that we should make about this is that Keating relates Yair or Yair Banel to the two after the Dana. The two after the Dana, or Danan, have a name meaning two after that is tribe of people of Dana. Dana is another form of the name Dan. The two after the Dana came from the land of Israel. They were from the tribe of Dan, and they settled in Ireland. So here too we have a potential, an indication of some type of connection between Yair and Dana, between Yair and the tribe of Dan. Now this is important, as we shall show. This is important because Yair or Yair in the land of Israel was not only east of the Jordan, in the land of Gilead, but also further to the north, or actually not far away from where Assyrian records place him. He was apparently also to be found further to the north, west of the Euphrates, and even east of the Euphrates in the Habor region. And here too we find, slightly west of that, in what is known as Cilicia or Cilicia, an ancient province in northern Syria and southeast Turkey, which in biblical times it is referred to as Judah of Hamath, because Hamath was in northern Syria of that region, and it is recorded as having belonged to Judah. And we find here a group or a kingdom, a principality known as Yardi. Yardi is how the Assyrians render the name Judah, Yehuda, Yardi they called it. This province is known as Yardi. And Yardi was adjoined by the Dananu. The Dananu were a segment from Dan, and they too had their own enclave in this region. They bordered this Judah in this area. In the south, in the regional tribal apportionments where Dan received its territory in the south, there too it had bordered upon the territory of Judah. So apparently they moved together when they went north, and the Bible tells us in the book of Judges and also in the book of Joshua how elements from Dan broke away and went northward. And this is all speaking of them going northward and conquering two different areas, one in the Galilee, in Upper Galilee,